Hey everybody, this is Grace. This video, I want to say it up front, I've been triggered by something I actually saw on a video just an hour or so ago, and it was something that I know the person was saying it in a way that was not intentionally saying anything bad about victims of people, people who are abusive. But I do know how difficult it is. We're taught to, practically, many of us have basically, and whether you even really know it or not, in a way taught to blame the victim. And that way of blaming the victim, I mean, I'm not perfect, I'm not. It's basically to, in a way, hope. It could be as little as hoping that person gets out of that relationship. When, I've said this before, when I was back at university, in one of my classes, it could have been a counseling class I took at graduate school, we were taught, I think it was even earlier than that the question is not, why doesn't she leave him? The question is, what in our society makes him think he can do it and get away with it? And a real, that was the question. In the way I see it, it is this attitude of blaming the victim, okay? That is the, one of the things, not all, just one, a big one. But we still do it. And I mean, not saying everybody, when I say we, I should just say it happens, okay, in some people. And it is difficult because in certain cultures, certain groups, whatever, it's just so common that, like I say, even just hoping she leaves him, okay, or hoping he leaves her or he leaves him, you see what I'm saying? It could be, something in us comes out with that person. If we do have contact with that person, it's not just something on video, it might seep out, and we don't really realize we're saying that. Okay, like I said, I was triggered by a video, more than one really. Okay, lately I have been triggered by more than one video that I've watched, what people say. But like this one, I think that it wasn't intentional, was not intentional. It but also in that one was a kind of an attitude of being forgiving of people who have personality disorders, where the behaviors that they have, even if they don't have the personality disorder, if they have behavior similar to, that is that of forgiving. That I understand that as a Christian, I understand it. I know that it comes from a place of goodness, but it's tough. It is very tough. There's more than one scripture about this, but there's also things like 2 Timothy 3, where we're supposed to stay away from these people, this type. I don't think that anybody hasn't been touched. I think that everybody, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, has been touched by just even watching it on TV, hearing about it, by someone who is one of these that has these behaviors of, at least. Like narcissistic, histrionic, borderline, and antisocial. Okay. So back to this about forgiveness. And what I've always said, if somebody says something, is to forgive the child that person once was, that was abused, as a child, okay, and then see if you can go from there, Now, I mean, I like I've said before, I grew up somebody who was mentally challenged, my brother, and that kind of, in a way, because let me just say it was more than just that. Not him, but more than that, what I grew up with. And I think when I was younger, it was much easier for me to forgive and move on. But some don't. I think, like this person who did that video, might not understand. And admittedly, this person said that they do not know enough. And I am saying I don't know enough about one particular one, which is borderline personality disorder. And I've said that so long, I should be ashamed of myself for not learning more about it, because I do know people who were diagnosed with it. And it's kind of difficult for me to wrap my mind around, other than to think they're borderline on psychotic, and they borderline on all the other personality disorders. They could have more of an expression of one or two of them, however, and that's what I've seen. I have seen this. But as I get older, it's more and more difficult for me to forgive. In fact, I think what it has turned into in me is more of I think, in a way, I would not have said this just maybe a year ago, that it's more of an awareness that they are truly disordered. They truly have a disorder. I don't use mental illness because that makes it medical, all medical. I was taught not to say mental illness at university. I was taking all those counseling courses, and even before then, to call it a disorder, what it is, a disorder. But to truly see it in that light, in a way, and it's not as harsh as the way I sometimes put it out there. But in a way, it's to say this person is, I've said it before, is challenged. Okay. Now there are some people who are challenged. Like I said, I grew up with one. Where we can, I can say it's really not his fault. Other people I've known because of him. It really is not their fault. But so it makes it difficult to use that word challenged, because some have said they know what they're doing, but they do it anyway. But it's like some strange twisted cycle, because they do it anyway, but it's because of their disorder. And because of their disorder, you see, it just goes cyclical, and then some of them may feel a little bit, well, not so much, some might question it, antisocial, but a little bit of remorse, at least a teeny tiny bit, lack of, they might feel empathy, they have lack of empathy, like narcissistic. That doesn't mean, the lack doesn't mean they totally don't have any at all, But anyway, I was triggered, big time triggered, and that wasn't the only one. Okay, pardon the way it looks. It's 8:26 p.m. So my SUV's lights are on, and it does that. But anyway, that wasn't the only thing that I've been triggered by lately. I was triggered by also, I don't know, when I say triggered, I was just so unbelievably disgusted and shocked but I shouldn't have been shocked, because this person has always shown these kind of behaviors. But this person did the worst thing possible. And that's how I see it. During this time, without any care, obviously. Whoa. Okay, and then that wasn't all. I've also been triggered by another one, when I've mentioned that one, I think. It's a couple around my age, and they do videos, and it's obvious to me that he is trying to do things like humiliate her. Just so much. It's just very, very, to me, emotionally, mentally, however you want to do it, say it, abuse her. Okay? And that's the one where I was saying, that whole thing about you kind of want to know, will she ever leave him? Not trying to blame her. And it's such a fine line. It's just more of a hope that she can. Now, I'm triggered from there to actually hear some of the things she says. Some might call those, well, they call, I don't like the term that people use for this. I know the term, but it's when you pick up bad behaviors from someone who is abusive, and it's because there's so many reasons why you might not realize that you have, and you might do the same thing, similar thing to some of them. So not everybody who does something that you think is abusive has a disorder. Okay, it might be something that they just don't realize that, wait a minute now, that's not good. You see what I'm saying? Okay, and I've made videos about other things that trigger me, like people with a high sense of entitlement, and I've done plenty. But overall, and then there are things in my own life that I don't really tend to mention. I don't think I ever mentioned some of it, but so it's like being so wrapped around this and not wanting to be. It's wrapped around me, I should say. You see what I'm saying? That there's just so much around, and I have moved to where I do over months now. Like if I'm gonna watch something on video, I tend to try to watch good people, good, decent people. The first one, I think, overall is a good, decent person, and a person who used to be bad and changed. I do believe some people can change. Okay, some people say, they can't take away from what they were, but were they ever diagnosed? No. You see what I'm saying? It's not that easy to get those things diagnosed in somebody, or somebody to have that diagnosed, as it is. But, because, there's degrees to which, and on and on. And I still think they need to add sociology in there, their view of how does it affect people around them. Yeah, I really do. But like I said, all these things and more have triggered me, made me feel uncomfortable, whatever. Then there are the good, decent people I like to watch. There was one of them. I don't know if I want to put his channel name. It's an older, he's about 10 years older than I. Yeah, he's 10 years older than I. And he is one of those. That neighbor has to watch me. That's my pet peeve. Yeah. But these, the good, decent people too. Like this one, he does good things. Okay, and that I have to watch that channel. Maybe in another video I'll mention it. But that's what I fall asleep with. Is somebody who's doing good things. And it's not self-centered. It's not abusive to anybody. And of course, it's like something I told Adam the other day. I said, what can you? It's not my first rodeo with this. I've thought of these many years before. But when do you ever get to watch something, read something, like a book? I'm not talking like a technical book or, math book or something like that, or show. But when do you just get to watch something that has a story, maybe, without there being some bad part to it? Watch, read, hear about, when there's not, or at least it's hinted at. When can it just be good? And we can get all philosophical about that if we wanted to, but anyway, I just got so distracted because of the neighbor thing. Okay, I got distracted really bad. Okay, but yeah, this of forgiveness. This I'm going through this of, like I said, there is some kind of like acceptance in a way. These people are disordered. Cluster B, disordered, and that it's not going to really change. And they're not willing to see that they have a problem, to change it. And knowing if I even hear, or even not hear, okay, it can be not hear, that it's due to their disorder. And I'm kind of changing a little bit on that. They know that they do it, and so therefore, but I think we really have to see that they're disordered. I've said this before about like some people want to call it narcissistic rage. I tend to want to more call it borderline rage. Not that it borderlines on rage, but it more of the borderline personality disorder type of rage. And things like that. They rage. Do they even have any at all control at that moment, at that time when they go into a rage? Is there any control over it in them? You see what I'm saying? And what they say when they're in that rage, oh my goodness, it can be so harmful to the person they're raging at, person or persons, or somebody who even hears it. It can last a lifetime in that person, having been told some of the things that they will say when they are raging. It is awful. Some of it can be so awful. Like, yeah. And like I said, I'm more of now because I think that it's very difficult for some people, especially if they've been abused in their life more, since maybe childhood. When somebody rages at them and says those awful things, I think it's really difficult for someone to not internalize it and not say, or not get really upset and cry over it and get mad themselves, angry, even rage themselves, or come close to it, and then get caught up in that whole thing. I think it could be difficult. I'm not saying 100% none of this is. It's not everybody, yeah. Instead of just saying, wait, stop, I'm not going to play this game, I'm not going to be reeled in, it is their disorder. Whew, that takes a lot to say this is their disorder talking. And do not take it personally. It's their disorder. The thing about it is, they'll do it again the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And I truly feel that for most, it will always be a next time. And if that disordered part of them knows what will upset you, knows the buttons to push, so they can then rage and take all their anger and their self-loathing out on you, they will do it again and again and again, each time they feel a need or just a want. Yeah, it's hard, it's difficult. Believe me, I know, especially if you have one, more than one. Just one is one too many. But if there's more than one, oh my goodness. Any chance they get. And even if you go no contact, I get a question a lot on this no contact thing, because I think for many it might turn into low contact, LOW. No contact, especially as you get older, and well, that's not 100% either. It's not one size does not fit all, but they can wreak havoc in your life for the whole lifetime, and we can pick up bad habits from them. It's difficult to process. It's difficult to not take personally. It's difficult to not get drawn into it. On and on. But anyway, I just thought I'd come out here and, have a little bit of a headache. I've got triggered too much. Every time I think of that, the word just doesn't seem good to me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm Texan, but anyway. It's difficult, all of it. But I do wonder, like I said, has anybody not been touched by one of these? Any of those? Are any of us now untouched? I don't like to use that word, but you see what I'm saying. You know, and when our mind's a little bit boggled, you know, me myself, I live in a state of shock as it is. You know, because my health with the adrenal disorder, and just all wrapped around that. But yeah. What about other people? Okay, I think I've said enough for this video. I'll talk to you in another video. Bye.